in your solar system? I said, one. Are you sure? I said, yes. Just one. I said, yes. And all of life and everything about the existence and the functioning of every planet and every, what we call dark matter, everything that has to do with life and movement comes from one single source. Just one sun. I sit down many times and I wonder, what moves this thing? There is nothing externally that is increasing the fire, the heat, and the intensity of the sun. Everything we experience of the sun comes from within. The power it releases, the life it sustains continues. Yeah, millennia after millennia, millions of years, and in fact, actually, billions of years. And I come back here to see stuff that happens around us. Nobody ever thought we would see the kind of mess we see in our land and our continent like we do today. But you know, I'm not one to sit and whine and just wail over it. I'm enraged, genuinely enraged from the inside of my heart at the things I do. I know that we are not helpless. I know that we are not just victims, though many of us will choose to believe that there is nothing we can do about it. It happened first with the leaders that have ruled over us for the past 66 years. And it looks like there's nothing we can do. Nigerians are very sharp people. They're very intelligent. They're very brilliant. They're very hardworking. And so it has no business coming under the description of having the poorest of the poor upon the earth. We have no business with the wealth that we have and with the endowments that we have, both human and material. Nothing. How did we end up with the kind of leaders we have, and how did we end up? Because obviously from it will flow our experiences, the operations. You know, we just finished talking about the kingdoms and thrones, and the fact that kingdoms are not just about chairs where people sit with turbans or with crowns. Kingdoms are systems that operate, and thrones are the locations where authority flows for the functioning of a kingdom. And the kingdom is actually the system where the things that emanate from the throne of authority take place. And kingdoms are varied. They are political, they are also economical and business. They are social as well. So there are different ways you can look at it. And when I'm talking about family today and I'm talking about community, I'm not just talking about the nuclear family where there's a father and a mother. Yeah, I speak about it, but I'm also talking about businesses. I'm talking about social gatherings. I'm talking about religious gatherings and assemblies. So when I speak about that, I talk about that. So when we're talking about things that happen around us, I have to think, and I'm trying to convey something to us. There are things you can accept, and there are things you definitely cannot accept. But what you accept and what you cannot accept depends on what you know and your exposure to truth. And Jesus said, you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. And he spoke because Israel was living under very intense oppression. They lived under a regime that lorded over them. They were, to all intents and purposes, slaves in their own country, very much like what you have in Nigeria today. In the times of Gideon that we heard about, you know, a few minutes ago, Gideon grew from 10 friends to 300 people. In actual fact, it wasn't just 300 people. He grew to what? 32,000 soldiers from the 10 friends he had. See, when God sees you, he doesn't see you alone. He sees you with your 5 or 10 friends, but he can see that you have the capacity to coordinate 300 people, but you also have the capacity to also administer and command an army of 32,000. So when the angel approached him in that place where he was threshing the wheat, the greeting from the angel was remarkable. And he said to him, greeted him, "Oh, you mighty man of valor." When God looks at you, he doesn't see a person just threshing. He's seen a commander. He's seen a businessman. He's seen a mogul. He's seen a president. He's seen a governor. He's seen a legislator. He's seen a discoverer. He's seen a person who creates labor. He's seen a person who achieves purpose all towards the stewardship of the earth. And I'm saying this because if you don't catch a glimpse of the truth, you will be overwhelmed by lies and deception. You will believe that it was for you to be. As crazy as they say in Hausa, Kadara. It is meant to be. You are just to be like that. You are meant to serve all your life. You are meant to be nothing, to be a victim all your life. And gradually, if you're not careful, you begin to imbibe it. You begin to live it. You begin to believe that that is your lot in life. And I'm saying this because we need to be able to get out of that. In Nigeria, in Africa, in your life, there is nothing that is set except the will of God concerning you. That you should be productive, that you should increase, you should multiply, that you should katelebo satana, expand and fill the earth with your influence and ability and capacity and the value that you possess. It is the will of God that you also have the capacity to replenish what you have used and subdue challenges and eventually have dominion. Listen, that is the Genesis mandate. I will speak of this. There is no month or week I don't speak on this, because it is the unshakable destiny of God for man. Every other thing is an aberration. Every other thing apart from you flourishing, prospering, subduing challenges is not part of God's plan. You may go through the training where, as a result of this fallen human body, because of the fall of man, because of the presence of sin and the spirit of disobedience, the Bible says that for a while we were even lower than angels. But do you know it is not a commendation to say you are an angel? Because an angel is below your class. They are messengers set forth to minister to the saints of God. I need you to have that. Because some of the things we do are an insult to God, who is our sons. There is no son or daughter who is comparable to the house help. No, you are not that level. You know, I'm trying to provoke you this morning. Because you are not waiting to be saved. It's not to declare another 30 days of a fast. It's to know who you are. Goliath was not a prayer issue. So David didn't pray about him. He just wondered, who is this uncircumcised Philistine who dares to defy not the children of Israel, but the army of the living God? Or terrorists that have defiled our land. When people are beheaded, their blood on the ground defiles the land. I will never get used to it. that our women are being raped as we speak now. I'm particularly incensed this morning because they had the gumption to post a picture of them raping a woman. It is not normal. It is not normal, and we must never accept it. There are things we are praying for that God is waiting for us to take action about. The sun, as we know it, expresses incredible power by the power of fusion. Fusion is a physics term. What is happening in that big ball of fire? It is our atmosphere that casts a coloration and makes the sun look yellow or orange. The sun is not yellow, it's not orange. When you go above the earth, it is stark white as snow. It's red hot gases. Inside it, there are hydrogen molecules and elements, and when they meet together with what we call protons, they form bigger molecules of helium. Don't worry, there's no exam on this, okay? No exam. When they now happen, 0.7% of that form another compound, but the remaining 99.3 form energy of fire and light. All the stars function that way. When Jesus said, "You are the light of the world," you hear me say it, he wasn't talking about a candle. He was talking about the sun. The dynamics of the sun is that elements within come together at the intense pressure. By the way, the sun is 99.9%